I'll tell you from my perspective, sitting up on top with web communications, it's to really look at if we really want to reach people, including, like you said, teenagers with these messages, what are the avenues that, where are they going to get their information, how are they consuming it, and how can you creatively try to get your information into that?
What are some of the ideas?
Ideas are things like gaming. Teens are much more likely to engage in behavior change if they're involved in some stuff with what they actually do now, like for instance, an interactive game. And so by partnering with the folks who have very good insight into what appeals to them and tying that to some of our health messages, we can have a deeper impact than just sticking up a message and putting it on our website.
You're with FDA. You're looking down the road. You want to bring some special communication tools. So what is your vision? What do you want to see down the road that your shop will produce for the people of the United States?
There are probably a handful of things. One is a continued and deeper public engagement. One thing that I helped to pioneer during my time in the Department of Health and Human Services is the importance of usability. I helped to lead a website called usability.gov, which was the first of its kind really in federal government, with the core idea that we really can't develop things in isolation. We have to bring in the public, and not just to test our products, but also to have them deeply engaged from the very onset. Who are the audiences? What are their hardware, software constraints? What do they want us to develop? And then bring them in early and often to really evaluate the goodness of what we create. We're doing a lot of that at FDA. We want to strengthen and deepen it. And another project that really show the scope and the impact that government can have is back when I was at the NIH and then the Health and Human Services, we started a project that hadn't been created anywhere. It was looking at how do you create the best evidence for developing websites. There were a lot of research, there were a lot of guidelines out there from Sun and Microsoft and Ameritech and a variety of other places that told you how to build websites, but it had no research behind it. So one project we started, just given the need for people to create good systems, was to go out and look at all the research across the many disciplines and find out what is the best guidance available for developing a website, whether it's a font size, download times, when to use images, how long link length should be, what really empowers the public to find and use information. And it was a labor of love, but what we ended up with was the first guidelines book of its kind that had, in a pragmatic way, all the research studies behind the different web design guidances in one location.
Where can people get that book?
You can go to usability.gov, which is now at the Department of Health and Human Services, and on that you can see the set of research-based guidelines, and it really is a tremendous resource. And we've had other countries, Japan, China, who've asked to translate it because it was such a good resource. We've had outside companies asked to grab it and make it institutional as part of their company's web design standards. So it's a really good example of how government can have a big impact in ways that even maybe the private sector isn't doing. A few other things. One is to take our information and continue to move it off of FDA.gov and look at smart and effective ways of reaching people across the digital landscape where they go to receive information. And I think the third thing is partnerships. We're all trying to do more with less. And by not recreating the wheel and coming up with effective partnerships with our colleagues, our stakeholders, and individuals across the country, including the citizen, we can really have a deep impact. And it's a different way of thinking, but one that's being embraced by government and something we want to make sure happens at FDA.
Now, tell me a little structure of your setup and how many people work for you. Are you looking for any people to work? Because, you know, Indian folks are very good at IT.
Absolutely. We're always looking for good folks. The way it's structured at FDA is I'm in the Office of Public Affairs, and underneath that is Web Communications. And so we're very tightly tied to communications as a whole, given the fact that it's happening on a lot of different mediums. We have about 10, 11 people on staff that specialize in things like usability, really understanding the user's needs and what's going to help them do well versus just sticking things up. Folks that specialize in content management, in web marketing, and all the things that good web communications is supposed to have. And then across each of our different product lines, foods, drugs, devices, tobacco, and biologics, they have their own web teams. And we work with them from the top to make sure that the right kind of messages are happening and that we have really good, strong communications across the board.
You know, the jobs have been very difficult to get, and they are very qualified people. Would you be accepting any applications for these web development people? You know, some architects in the web development, because I'm sure you are looking to that, right?
Yeah, we're always looking for good people as opportunities arise, and certainly encourage that. Across the board, government is really having tremendous opportunities right now, in particular in the technology and web communication side, especially with in the last year or so, we've really opened up the ability to look beyond just our own web borders, but also all the different tools in the online marketplace. So it's an exciting time to be in here, and I think there's a lot of really rewarding opportunities right now.
It's just fascinating stuff, folks. If you're in the IT business, I recommend that you go onto their site and see what different things they are doing. And if you have brilliant ideas, of course, Sanjay is always looking for that. I'm sure you will accept any feedback, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, and I wish you the best for your life.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you.